Hello everyone, how's it going? Remember to like, sub, and share, it helps a great deal. And if you want to support the channel, like and super thanks. So we finally get the grand reveal of the PlayStation 5 Pro. This has been rumored for a very long time. It was just a waiting game. They normalized this after the Xbox One X and the PlayStation 4 Pro, an intermediate release that upgrades the console for people willing to pay the extra money for a more powerful version. It's like upgrading your computer, but instead of just pulling out a part and putting it in with a new part, now you get an entirely new plastic box. Either way, I think the design looks absolutely wonderful. But that's when all the crap hits the fan and people start to see that Sony has decided to repeat what Microsoft did when they revealed the original Xbox One with the Kinect 2.0, where there was a camera staring at you 100% of the time and it was always online. So let's read this, like what the hell they are thinking about. So features including GPU upgrade, advanced ray tracing, and PlayStation's spectral super resolution takes players to new heights. I just like this. It's like blast processing for the Sega Genesis. That's what this is, just a new verb they use. Update on September 26th, pre-orders will be available directly from PlayStation Direct. This is basically to cut down on scalpers, but I'm pretty sure scalpers aren't going to have a problem buying this console if you'll see what I'm about to read. Over the last 4 years since the launch of the PS5, we've worked hard to continuously evolve the console experience and deliver the great games our players expect from us. Today, I'm incredibly proud to announce the next step in that evolution and welcome the PlayStation 5 Pro to the family, our most advanced and innovative console hardware to date. So this is the reveal. I don't want to show it because I'm pretty sure Sony will copyright claim me. We developed PlayStation 5 Pro with deeply engaged players and creators in mind, as many have asked for a console that runs higher fidelity graphics and smoother frame rates at 60 frames per second. We achieved this on PlayStation 5 Pro with several key performance features. I 100% don't expect that. Like, remember when they had that whole 4K 60 frames per second plastered on the PlayStation 5 box, which I had the box with me? I don't. But remember that? Like, no load times, all that crap they kept spewing about this generation, and that turned out to be a lie. Like, yeah, there are some games that have next to none no load times, like Spider-Man Miles Morales when it first came out actually shocked me how quick it was, and so did Marvel Spider-Man 2, but of course we did have Black Myth Wukong, which I can attest has really long load time. For the Xbox, technically, I'm playing it Space Marine 2, despite the fact that's supposed to be the most powerful console of all time. Granted, that's on the developer side, not really the console's fault, but, I've been lied before, and this I'm not going to take on face value. Upgraded GPU with PlayStation 5. We are upgrading to a GPU that is 67% more compute units than the current PlayStation 5 console and 28% faster memory. Overall, this enables up to 45% faster rendering for gameplay, making the experience much smoother. Advanced ray tracing. We've added even more powerful ray tracing that provides more dynamic reflections and reflections of light. This allows the rays to be cast at double and at times triple the speeds of the current PlayStation 5 console. AI-driven upscaling. We've also introduced PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution, again, blast processing. An AI-driven upscaling that uses the machine learning-based technology to provide super sharp image clarity by adding an extraordinary amount of detail. Look, that all sounds great, improved visuals, fantastic details, but, a pretty picture is just a pretty picture. Is it going to improve the gameplay experience? I don't know. Like, look at Sony's recent success with Astro Bot. That game literally looks like a PlayStation 4 game, but it's so much fun based on what I've heard from reception that people don't care. Like, as long as gameplay is good, like, people will care more about that than the visual design. Like, take, for example, The Last of Us Part 2 or Final Fantasy 13. Final Fantasy 13 on the original Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 still looks absolutely insane, like most Final Fantasy games do. But the gameplay is also there, like for Final Fantasy 13 2. I know that's kind of a divisive game for a lot of people. God, what the hell is out there? But in terms... I'm just going to wait until that's shut down. Alright, that was the longest horn in history. But like I was stating, Visuals are nice, but they're not the absolute thing that people will buy a game for. If that was the case, that people will buy games solely on how a game looks, then Concord would have been a massive success. Like, yeah, the character designs sucked, but the cinematics for those games look insanely good. And that game didn't even last 2 weeks. Sony just cut the plug like within 2 weeks and refunded everyone's money. So in regard to that, visual design is great, but it's not absolute. PlayStation 5 Pro provides gamers with amazing graphics at high frame rates. Again, I don't believe that because, again, we were promised this generation and it still hasn't become absolute. We still have games running at 30 frames per second, and I'm just like, I don't believe any of this. I'm pretty sure that games coming out a year or two ahead are not going to run at 60 frames per second on this console. Look, I could be wrong about that, but I've been lied so much by these publishers that I don't believe anything they say. Show me the game, show me the new titles coming out running at this, and then I'll believe you. Because for now, I don't. You can hear Mark Cerny, lead architect for PlayStation 5 Pro, discuss the key innovations from PlayStation 5 Pro in the following presentation. This presentation provides a deep dive into the key performance features that make PS5 Pro truly special. I've already seen this. They use like The Last of Us as a key foundation. God, they've re-released The Last of Us how many times? PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and that's just for Part 1. And then there's also The Last of Us Part 2, and dear God, it's just like, how many times are we going to see The Last of Us? Like, it annoys me because we have yet to get a Resistance trilogy or a Killzone remastered trilogy, but we've gotten The Last of Us how many times? And no matter how good the PlayStation 5 is in rendering all these visuals, PC is still superior. Look, I'm not a PC elitist. I think every console has its own strengths and weaknesses, but the reality is that why would I pay an absurd amount of money for this console when I can get a PC and play not only The Last of Us, but God of War or Helldivers at a much stable resolution that goes beyond 60 frames per second at some times, along with mods and stuff like that. You see, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. I'm not saying that Sony should take off their games from PC. I think it's a really positive idea that more people can experience these games. But at the same time, it's just like, why? And you'll see what I mean later on. Other enhancements include PlayStation 5 Pro Game Boost. Again, blast processing with a new name, which can apply to more than 8,500 backwards compatible PS4 games playable on PS5 Pro. Oh, that's great. Why isn't PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2, and PlayStation 1 games backwards compatible with the console? Oh yeah, they want you to pay for the freaking PlayStation Premium Pro membership. I don't know exactly what it's called, but the one that costs like $180, I believe. It's over $100, and that's the only way you can play these games. And you can't even freaking download the game. You have to stream the game most of the time, like the God of War games, and they don't even allow you to buy the game outright. Like, I was just like, I actually did an experiment with this. I played God of War Ascension on my PlayStation 5 through the streaming. There was this weird feedback in the sound. But then I got my old PlayStation 3 console, I plugged it in, and it was vastly superior. Like, based on just, like, sound quality, visual presentation, everything was better. This is 2 generations back. It's just, like, this level of garbage that I hate about it. But yeah, I know someone's going to say it's because of your internet. Maybe that's true. But regardless, it's like that problem would have been solved if they just allowed me to buy God of War Ascension off the store and just play it on my system. But of course, you can't do that. And by the way, you can't even buy the PSP games anymore. They used to have them, and then they removed them from the PlayStation Store. Same thing for Resistance 1 and 2. It's just like a lot of this stuff, it's like they're going backwards. This feature may stabilize or improve the performance of supported PS4 and PS5 games. Enhance image quality for PS4 games is also available to improve the resolution on PS4 games. PS5 Pro will also launch with the latest wireless technology, Wi-Fi 7 in territory supporting the standard. VRR and 8K gaming are also supported. Yeah, they said that about PlayStation 5 base, so I don't believe this at all. Also, you're going to probably get to the kicker of this because they say all this stuff about backwards compatibility. You're going to see how they basically offer you a sandwich in one hand and then throw a mud pie with the other. It's humbling to see how game creators have embraced the latest technology from PS5 Pro, and several games will be patched with free software updates for gamers to take advantage of PlayStation 5 features. These games can be identified with a PS5 enhanced label within their title. Some games you can look forward to include blockbuster hits from, and they list a bunch of games here. We kept the look of the PlayStation 5 consistent with the overall PlayStation 5 family product. You'll notice the height is the same size as the original PlayStation 5, and the width is the same size as the current PlayStation 5 model to accommodate higher performance spec. Players can add an Ultra Blu-ray disc drive or swap out console covers when they become available. There you go. It doesn't come with a disc drive. So Sony is basically stating, hey, you want all these enhanced games? You either give us more money for the disc drive, or you can buy it again from our store. This is basically locking you into the store. Look, like, say what you will about PC. A lot of people use Steam, but there are other options out there. Epic Game Store and GOG. Like, there are other options you can buy your games on. When you buy a console, you're limited to that one store. The eShop, Microsoft Shop, PlayStation Shop. But without this disc drive, basically they're stating, oh, you want that? You're going to have to pay for an optional device. Which also just destroys game preservation because, you know, what if that drive becomes, inoperable? So basically, they're attaching you to the Sony store by any means necessary because this is an optional purchase. It doesn't even come with a fucking disc drive. This annoys the hell out of me, and it should annoy a lot of people. Even people who are full digital. Like, imagine that. I've stated this argument before. Imagine if your account gets canceled. It's completely wrongfully terminated. You lose access to everything you purchased using that account. And don't tell me that that hasn't happened. It's happened to people where their account gets terminated and they're simply locked out of all the purchases they make. Whereas if you buy a physical release, like say this copy of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, I know Nintendo, but if Nintendo were to close my Nintendo Online account, I can still play this game. I can still play Tears of the Kingdom, no problem. But when you buy this console, they shut down your service. Who's to say they can't shut down the function to your disk drive? I know a lot of people think that's a scary thought and it will never happen. Why not? Why can't they just shut that down? You should always think about this stuff because corporations will always be on the side of making more money. They're not on the side of helping you. It's like what's happening with Adobe, where you can't literally remove your credit card from their service after the whole tsunami of backlash from their recent terms of service. Like, same situation. And it reminds me a lot of this.
This is how you share your games on PS4.
And I wrote,
Thanks.
PlayStation.
man, that did not age well. And it just reminds me more of this.
For games. Yeah. And I think people are going to love it, and then they're going to understand what we're trying to create and how it links games and entertainment, the functionality of the box, some of the advantages that you get of having a box that is designed to use an online state. So that, to me, is a future-proof choice. And I think people could have arguably gone the other way if they didn't do it. And fortunately, we have a product for people who aren't able to get some form of connectivity. It's called Xbox 360.
Right. Stick with 360. That's your message. If you don't,
Well,
you don't like it.
if you have zero access to the...
That's the moment you know he screwed up when Jeff Keighley just called him out. I was like, just stick to Xbox 360. It's just like, we're going backwards. Basically, Sony is deciding we're going to go backwards and do what Microsoft did to fuck up. And now Phil Spencer, all he has to do is do the opposite, saying, no, our next Xbox console, which I'm sure they're making right now, no, it has a disc drive. Like, I really think they should abandon the Xbox Series S because apparently that's so difficult to program for because it's a lower end model and that's causing a lot of issues. They can literally just say, oh no, you get a disc drive. You can, there you go. And I get that digital purchases have literally eclipsed physical sales. But I still buy physical games for the sake of fear that someday my account could be hacked or terminated, and you should be afraid of that too, especially in the modern day where hackers and scammers are becoming much more prevalent and a lot more sophisticated. So there are a lot of things. Not to mention, Sony is also notorious for being hacked. Remember the infamous PlayStation hack where they literally had to give people a bunch of free items just to make sure they don't sue them, and then all that entire situation. So yeah. You should be afraid about this. And I know the counter argument will be, well, the PlayStation 3 cost like $600, $500 when it came out. Yes, but at least that console was backwards compatible with PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 games. Once they came out with models that weren't backwards compatible, they reduced the price. Granted, they also had access to more modern technology, but regardless, if this console was fully backwards compatible with PlayStation 3, 2, and 1 games, yeah, I'll be okay with paying as much as this console is going to be worth. But seeing that it's not, and they're forcing you to give them even more money to play those classic games through their service, which is shit. Yeah. So if it's with any family, yada yada yada, this is literally. So the PS5 console will be available this holiday, as manufacturers suggest a retail price of $700. No disc drive and no vertical stand. Like literally you can see here, vertical stand sold separately in fine print. You don't even get that. They bundled that with the original PlayStation 5. And it's just like, here it is also, with an option to purchase currently available disc drive for PlayStation 5 sold separately. So yeah, no, like they literally, like Microsoft just has to do the opposite of this. Even though Game Pass is literally their game changer, where they're like, you can play it using the Amazon Fire Stick or through your phone through a Bluetooth controller. Like I literally played Halo Infinite on my phone. It worked pretty well. But yeah. So this will launch on November 7th, and then pre-orders will begin November 26th. Yeah, fuck that. Like, fuck that. I am not paying, like, I don't care. Like, how fast this console is, I am not paying $700 for basically a giant digital-only brick that literally Sony can cancel at any time. And remember, when the PlayStation 5 first launched, and if you sat it up this way, like vertically, the thermal paste would actually slide off on the first generation models of PlayStation 5, so you would have to take it to a repair shop or send it to Sony to get it like reapplied. Like I've seen a lot of YouTube videos on that, and I started putting my PlayStation 5 on its face because of that fear. But I'm certain this will also have issues. And ultimately, $700 for a digital-only console that requires a disc drive to be purchased separately, which basically locks you into Sony's entire store and does everything in its power to prevent you from sharing used games. That sounds wonderful. That sounds like freaking what Microsoft was trying to do 11 years ago, and what Sony fought against in the PlayStation 4, which basically won them the console race. And they decided, you know what? Let's destroy all that goodwill. Let's do the opposite. It's just like this up and down in recent Sony like time. Like first they came out with Concord, then Astrobot, and then they decided the PS5 Pro. It's just like, it's like, what the fuck are they thinking? Oh yeah, and the PlayStation 5 controllers have gone up in price. That's the other thing. They went up $5. It's just like, oh my god, who's gonna buy this shit? Like, if you buy this, you're voting for things that are going to destroy you later on as a consumer. Like, yeah, I bought the PlayStation 4 Pro and the Xbox One X, but at least they didn't change anything. At least it came with a fucking disc drive. At least I wasn't tailored to the freaking eShop store. And it's just like, absolutely, like they're trying to make the PlayStation store the new Steam for their console, where you don't share games, you can't play anyone else's games, and you just like are just isolated to this market. And look, Steam has its issues, and it does definitely have its issues. I think that's not talked about enough, that how you buy a game, and if your Steam account gets hacked or terminated for some reason, you lose access to all those games. But because Steam is such a popular platform, everyone uses it. It has a really positive experience. People use that most of the time. But I've been starting to use GOG more, because you can actually download your games to an external hard drive and take them with you. It's not as the same thing as like having a physical disc, but you know, it's better than nothing. But in this case, I don't want to buy this. Unless they come out with a model that comes with an optical drive built in, I am not buying that shit. And I'm pretty sure if they do, it's going to be $800. At that point, why the fuck would I buy a PlayStation 5 Pro when I can get a PC for $800 that can run your games even better? Yeah, I have to wait a year for the next PlayStation exclusive to come onto PC. But at the same time, like everything that runs on this PlayStation 5 Pro can run on an $800 PC even better. So that you're basically losing your audience at that point, other than your PlayStation purists. But I feel people who have actual logical mind thinking will be like, well, if I really want the PlayStation exclusive right now, I'll just buy the base model PlayStation 5, play it like that. And if I really want the updated visuals with, you know, 4K, all that shit with no problem whatsoever, I'll just wait for the PC release, where I will not even get 4K, but I'll get mod support. I'll get even better resolution, even better frame rate, a lot of more features. So you're basically just completely shooting yourself in the foot. Like, it's already super expensive with the PlayStation not including the drive and all of this shit. But tell me what you think in the comments below. I know I talked for a long time, 15 minutes, but at the same time, I just don't understand what they were thinking with this. Like, are they banking on the die-hard fandom of the PlayStation community to just purchase this blindly, which you should never do? Always question everything, no matter how much of a die-hard fan you are. But yeah, and I know a lot of people are probably going to say, well, Nintendo and Microsoft, they're falling behind in comparison to PlayStation. I would disagree. I think Microsoft is just trying to bank on Game Pass and they're focusing on that. And with Nintendo literally wins by doing nothing. Like, they have Legend of Zelda, they have Super Mario, they have Star Fox, F-Zero. I know those other two franchises, they haven't made new games for it, but they have so many iconic IPs, they literally win by doing nothing. I mean, they freaking have their own exclusive theme park. Like, when you have a theme park, I think you've won. But yeah, like, if Nintendo ever wanted to just, like, outsell this, whatever this is, I'm pretty sure the Switch 2 Pro is going to be less than this. It's probably going to be like $400, but again, all they have to do is like say, oh yeah, we're re-releasing every classic Pokemon game, and we're re-releasing all the 3DS and Legend of Zelda, like just re-release all those 3DS Legend of Zelda remakes onto the Switch eShop, or just remaster them, put them on a Switch cartridge and sell it. You'll make like 5 million sales easily. So in this case, I just don't see that Sony's going to be a huge win with this. Maybe they're banking on this will be a loss so they can make back their money on all those digital purchases. I don't know. That's how I'm seeing this. You have to think like an executive where they're always hungry for money. But I think that's what they're trying to do. Just bank on the fact that PlayStation diehards will buy this, and they'll likely either rebuy their games on the PlayStation Store or fully commit to just the PlayStation Store entirely and just keep giving Sony money without any type of fees or third-party retailers or anything like that. That's how I kind of see the PlayStation 5 Pro, as what Microsoft tried to do with the original Xbox with the Kinect 2.0. But tell me what you think in the comments below. I know this was a bit of a long-winded video, but I really wanted to put my time and effort into it. So like, dislike, your choice. That's it for me. Bye.